How's it going today, guys? Happy Monday to everyone. I hope you all had a great weekend. And today I am joined once again by the TJ Rainman. How's it going, TJ?
Happening. It's going well.
Had
Into,
a good weekend. Yeah, everything's great.
yeah, I mean, my weekend starts on Sunday, so I'm still in the middle of my 3-day weekend now.
That's right. With your schedule, your weekend is kind of like right around now. So,
Yep.
but yeah, we got quite a few stories to go into today. We're going to talk about some of Trump officials leaking information to journalists. We're talking about that. We're going to talk about the soda banning with the SNAP and EBT. They're going to talk about Jill and Joe Biden possibly making a political re-entry. A few other things. Let's see. Trump revoked the security clearances of some people, and he also revoked the legal status for a bunch of previously legal residents, not citizens, but people that were here on a visa due to Joe Biden's policies. So we're going to get into all that and more. So stay tuned. Make sure you share the video, like the video. Make sure you're commenting in the live chat, whatever's going on. You could also join the Discord. I have my own Discord, and there you can I'm getting a bunch of messages. Okay, I'll have to read those after. Let's see. So yeah, share everything and join my Discord if you want to try to call into the show. I'm more than happy to bring people up and talk to them on the show. So if you want to get involved, that's how you can. Or obviously chat in the live chat. I often read the chat. So let's get into this first story. So first story, talking about the Trump officials leak Yemen strike plans to journalists. Now, I'm not exactly sure how this happened. I've got a few conspiracies on how this may have turned out. Maybe we'll get the actual story on it, but so far this is it. So on Saturday, March 15th, 2025, senior officials in the Trump administration mistakenly included Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief at The Atlantic, in a Signal group chat where details of imminent U.S. military strike against the Houthis in Yemen were discussed. Excuse me. The information shared included specifics about weapon packages, targets, and timing of the attack. The incident has raised questions about the security protocols in which place for discussing sensitive national security matters. So why are they? My first question is, why are they in a Signal group chat talking about these things?
Yeah, I wonder what the official protocol would be for communicating such issues. Like it is Signal. Does it meet the security requirements that communication of this severity would require? Like, or is this just them texting off the cuff? Like, I do wonder. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think that it's secure enough? Do you think that there's a better channel for it, or?
I don't know. I feel like they should be discussing in person, or I feel like there should be more. I don't know. I just don't know how secure this is. Maybe it is secure, and I'm just not well informed enough about how Signal works. But it's definitely not secure when you add a journalist to the group chat. How does that happen? Like, does he have the same name as someone else that was meant to be in the group chat, or like did he fat finger some buttons and like? Because I don't know. There's a lot of assumptions you have to make for this to just be an accident, right? Which
Right.
We were talking about this previously a little bit. I kind of feel like Hegseth did this on purpose for media attention and to misdirect the enemy.
I could buy into that. It's a little bit tinfoil hatty, but but
Well, because it's hard. It's like, how do you're in a group chat discussing military matters. Obviously, you can see who's in the group chat at all times, I would assume.
well, yeah,
Uh,
who's supposed to be added instead?
yeah, who was supposed to be added instead, and how do you get from adding the vice president, the head of the Department of Defense, and a editor in chief at the Atlantic? How does that happen? How do you add all of those people into a group chat? And then we actually have the because naturally, being a journalist, which you can't fault him for entirely, right? As much as we hate journalists because they like to lie. Not me, no, though. Not Tyler Today News. I tell you the truth of what's going on, even if it hurts my own views. But look at this. We have this article from The Atlantic, of course. And the Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans.
That is a phenomenal headline, though.
That is like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's a good title, right? U.S. national security leaders included me in a group chat about upcoming military strikes in Yemen. I didn't think it could be real. Then the bombs started falling.
Wow.
So I can't read the article because it wants me to pay for it. But we could at least read the opening. The world found out shortly before 2 p.m. Eastern time on March 15th that the United States was bombing Houthi targets across Yemen. I, however, knew 2 hours before the first bombs exploded that the attack might be coming. The reason I knew this is that Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, had texted me the war plan at 11:44 a.m. The plan included precise information about weapons, packages, targets, and timing. This is going to require some explaining, and then it goes on with the article. Let me just pull up the other window again.
So did he like basically whistleblow about what the actual plans were, or is he just saying that I knew this information before it actually took place? Because there's a level of revealing war plans. If you just drop all that communication, then you're potentially a threat to national security almost. So like where do we draw the line on I guess on free speech, but when it
No,
comes
I
to
think the journalist is like, as ridiculous as this is. If this happened the way it seems to have happened, this completely falls on Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth is in control of all of this. He's in control of the information that gets shared to this group chat. And if he accidentally added a journalist, the journalist has no what is it? No duty or no requirement. It's Tyler Yesterday News. I know, right? There's some news in here from over the weekend, even not just yesterday, Joey. Um, but
yes,
the journalist has no obligation whatsoever to not share this information. If this information is given to a journalist, expect the journalist to share the information. Like if I was given access to a chat like this, I would immediately share the information. Like, look, guys, look what they're talking about in here. Unless
what
it was explicitly like they had me sign something that was like, you can't share this information, or they explicitly told me do not share this information, I wouldn't do it. But if it's just like, oh, you're added to a group chat, here's a bunch of war plans, I would be like, oh, well, article incoming.
yeah. No, I kind of can't fault him, but like what would have happened if he releases all of this information of the war plans, and then the enemy force is able to create
Counter it.
to counter it, and American people, or American soldiers lose their lives because of the information that he provided to the enemy. Like there's
I know there's a debate there about what should happen in that regard. But that's why I think this was partially on purpose, because you look at things like in World War II, during D-Day is like the best example. For D-Day, if you look at articles around that time, they were talking about plans in a whole nother area of the world at that time. And it was sort of a misdirection because they actually weren't planning anything for the area they were discussing. They were planning D-Day. So it could be like leak info to the journalist, and then it's misdirection. But then if this journalist is saying that the stuff discussed in the Signal group chat actually ended up happening, I don't know. That just seems like a big fuck up on Pete Hegseth's part. People are calling for his resignation and stuff. I just don't know what to make of this, honestly. I mean, you have Tim Waltz saying Pete Hegseth texting our war plans like invites to a frat party. Like, it just does not look good for Hegseth.
It's not a good look.
However you cut this.
Yeah, definitely not a good look. You know, he's a younger dude. You'd think he'd be a little bit smarter using technology.
Yeah, and then we have screenshots coming out. JD, see, even JD Vance is in the group chat. If you think we should do it, let's go. I just hate bailing Europe out again. Let's just make sure our messaging is tight here, and if there are things we can do up front to minimize risk to Saudi oil facilities, we should do it. And then let's see, it goes on to say, VP, I fully share your loathing of European freeloading. It's pathetic, but Mike is correct. We are the only ones on the planet on our side of the ledger who can do this. Nobody else even close. Question is timing. I feel like now is a good time as any. Given POTUS directive to reopen shipping lanes, I think we should go, but POTUS still retains 24 hours of decision space. As I heard, the president, I don't know who SM is. As I heard, the president was clear, green light, but we soon make clear to Egypt and Europe that we expect in return. We also need to figure out how to enforce such a requirement, e.g., if Europe doesn't remunerate, then what? If the U.S. successfully restores freedom of navigation at great cost, there needs to be some further economic gain extracted in return. Agree. So they're just talking about how, like, if they're going to secure the shipping lanes, they need some, like, benefits from our allies and people that use the shipping lanes, which is fair. If we're going to defend the area, I feel like we should get a cut of some stuff, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm fully in support of what's happening with the Houthis and stuff. I mean, they can't be going around taking ships and stuff. If that's what they want to do, then FAFO, you know, fuck around, find out.
Right.
But again, if so, it seems like what was said in this group chat actually did end up happening. And if this journalist leaked it before the attacks were carried out, that could have given aid to the enemy. So I do wonder, like, what would have happened in that regard. But again, I think it just kind of falls back on Pete Hegseth.
Well, so when did this kind of story actually drop? Like, if he was whistleblowing on it, I feel like we would have heard about it closer to the 15th, because wasn't it on the 15th when?
Yeah, it's been like a week.
He said he was added.
It's been a little over a week. He posted the article yesterday, or no, this morning. He posted it this morning.
Okay, so it does seem like he's just like backtracking and say like, "Hey, I knew about all this." It doesn't seem like he whistleblew before the action.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he put anyone in danger, at least doing this. It's just interesting. I want to know how he got added to the group chat. That's what I want clarification on. How did he get added? Who was supposed to be added in his stead?
You know, I think Pete's reaction to this is going to say a lot about him. You know, you come out, you take full accountability, you give some transparency on how you fucked up, and you know, perhaps you ask for forgiveness, perhaps you resign, but like there needs to be, he needs to portray a level of accountability, and you know, not just try and, you know, brush it off or push it on someone else. So we'll see how much of a man he is.
Yeah, soon. We'll see where this story goes. I don't know. Like, people are calling for his resignation. I don't know if it's that serious, but he definitely needs to explain how this came about. But any final statements on that?
No, I think that was kind of my.
Okay, so stop screen sharing here. Let's go on to the next story. So SNAP benefits. We're going to talk about some SNAP benefits. Let's see. But before I talk about these SNAP benefits, let me stop screen sharing here.
Why do you call it SNAP?
SNAP. Like, I'm calling it SNAP because it sounds funny. What?
It's like Cool Whip.
Cool Whip. Well, speaking of food, we could talk about 1775 coffee. Weak coffee is for the weak, and at Rumble, weak has never been part of the mission. No fillers, no fraud, and no settling for mediocrity. Just like 1775 coffee or mediocrity in advertisements. We don't do that. I try not to, at least. I'm getting used to it. It's single origin, small farm, hand-picked, specialty grade coffee that stands for quality, free speech, and calling out BS when it matters. That should say bullshit, because we have free speech here. Forget stale, mass-produced beans, roasted just enough to hide the flaws. Dark roast hits like a Trump tariff. Medium roast keeps it bold without the bitterness. And Vitality Mushroom Blend. Real energy and lasting focus. No synthetic garbage. I'm sure the Houthis know exactly what they mean by hits like a Trump tariff, except it wasn't a tariff that hit them. For K-Cup pods, whole bean, and fresh ground coffee, go to 1775coffee.com. Use code STUDIO for 15% off. And start your morning with coffee that stands for something. Oh, and every dollar spent enters you to win a Cybertruck, and $30K in cash. If any of you go and buy the coffee and you end up winning that Cybertruck, I would like a cut. I would like a cut of that money win. Or the Cybertruck. That'd be pretty cool. I would cruise around in it. Then I could make videos about people vandalizing my Cybertruck because I live in California.
Content for days.
Content for days, guys. Joey said 1775 coffee, exclamation point. Hell yeah. Yeah, give him the tires. What? I share everything. Favorite part of the live stream so far? Getting a bunch of messages. I'll have to read those after. Shit, share everything. Let's see. Okay, so let's talk about these SNAP benefits. So SNAP benefits soda ban advances. A legislative movement is gaining traction to alter SNAP benefits, proposing the ban to purchase of soda and candy. This initiative, supported by figures like RFK Jr., is part of a broader discussion on the health implications of diet and the role of government in regulating what welfare recipients can buy. The debate touches on themes of taxpayer responsibility, health outcomes, and personal freedom. Did you want to speak on this a little bit, Rain Man? How do you feel about this?
So I don't know. I've kind of said for a while that I almost feel like there should be a different version of food stamps that is like heavily restricted to, just the basics, milk, bread, eggs, and all that kind of stuff. But then it should be like expanded a little bit, just like letting, I don't know. It was just a thought I had at one point, but more restrictive and more easily accessible, just so that people can make sure they have their essentials. Um, but like I was recently on food stamps, and I bought a little bit of soda with it. It's not like I was burning through all of it, but I don't know. Like I don't see the need to ban soda from it. Like people are going to drink what they're going to drink. We don't have to force people just to drink water because they're struggling. I don't know. Like my logic is I paid my taxes for, I had the job that I ended up losing. I had it for 10 years. And then, so I lost the job. I got on food stamps for a little while, and it, it helped. I don't know, like having a safety net there that I paid into that I was able to utilize. I don't see why restricting soda from it is necessary, I guess.
Me personally, I think we should restrict all junk food, all soda and candy and stuff like that. We should restrict all of that. If you're taking my tax dollars to subsidize your life, I think it should be used for healthier things. Just for example, if you look at the thumbnail in the video, it shows, even right now, if I go down to the store, a 12 pack of canned sodas is $12. Some stores it's like $10.99, but sure. So it's like $10 to $12, $13, right? You can buy 3 to 4 cases of water for that same price. So it's like 3 to 4 cases of water that'll last you a month, or a case of soda that'll last you a week, maybe a week and a half. So it's also a cost thing for me, right? It's not just that, oh, they're eating unhealthy food. It would be different if the soda was about comparable price to water. But even then, I don't know if I'd support that, because I don't want to incentivize people buying junk food. I have a soda addiction myself, but you can use other funds, not the EBT, to purchase soda if you really want soda that bad. We're specifically talking about EBT and SNAP benefits. Those should be restricted to healthier foods. And the simple reason for that is because it's our tax dollars going to pay for that stuff. I don't think we should be subsidizing people's unhealthy lifestyles.
So I also think that it's not a problem when someone has to utilize it the way that I did. I hit a rough spot. Now I've got this new job, and I off of the food stamps. Like I used it for a short time, and then back on my feet. I think the issue really comes when people are just kind of living off the system, and they've been on food stamps for the last 10 years or something like that.
Yeah. I don't necessarily have an issue with that. If they're falling on hard times and it lasts for a decade, like 12 years of needing benefits, I do feel like you need to like get up off your ass a little bit and maybe push for a better position somewhere or wherever. But I say that, but I also live in California where everything's just super expensive. I mean, rent here for a single bedroom apartment is like 2,800 a month. There's no job you can work minimum wage that will afford that.
Right.
While I do say that, I also take into account that it's junk food. You don't need to buy junk food. It's comfort food. You can get other funds to buy that sort of stuff. Focus on buying the necessities. EBT and SNAP should be for necessities. There are places here where I live where EBT and SNAP is accepted at fast food restaurants. Are you fine with that? Like, should I be able to go down to Jack in the Box and use my EBT?
Um, Short answer, no. Long answer is I don't know why they have to have such a heavy restriction on hot foods.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I don't agree with the restriction on hot foods. Like if like fast food is one thing, but if you go somewhere that has like a bit, it's all about like healthy. Like I just don't want them buying. I don't want people buying junk food that much. Or I don't know. I think there should be restrictions on it. I don't like restricting people. I try to be more libertarian in my views, but when it comes to things that are paid for by money that is stolen from me, I am going to be restrictive in that.
yeah, I can understand that. Where do we draw the line? Like, what is healthy and what's not healthy? You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like, do you-
that would be the debate. What would you consider healthy? What warm food can you get that is healthy?
and
Um,
that's kind of why I'm a little bit confused on the matter is because, like, I don't know, maybe the slippery slope argument or something like that. Like, if you start with soda, then can you not buy apple juice for your children anymore using food
yeah,
stamps? Like,
because it's full of sugar and stuff.
oh yeah,
Uh,
so like
I mean, I would lean towards yeah, no, you can't. If you want to buy sugary beverages and candy and stuff like that, food that's bad for you, I don't want my tax dollars subsidizing it. Um, I mean, people that are on EBT and SNAP, that's not the only means of income. It's supplemental income, right? Or at least it's supposed to be. So you get that supplemental income, and then the money you get from working whatever job you're working or wherever you're getting another source of income, because you're not just getting SNAP and EBT.
mm,
You would be homeless if that's all you were getting, or if that's the only funds you had, you would be likely homeless.
right.
So the other funds that you are acquiring, use those funds to go buy your junk food. Do not use my tax dollars. My tax dollars are already subsidizing you and helping you buy food and stuff like that. I don't want that being spent on junk food. I want that being spent on things that'll actually improve your health and not be a detriment to it. But I'm not saying that we should ban sodas outright. I love my sugary beverages. I have one right here. Uh, all I'm saying is that if people like if I was getting EBT or SNAP, I wouldn't be buying soda and stuff with it. I would be using separate funds for that because I don't want people's tax dollars being used on junk.
Yeah.
That's basically my whole point. And ban artificial sugar, absolutely.
And I
I
think
have the
that would be sorry. I think that would be a great place to start. Is like, you know, you put healthier foods inside of the grocery stores, then the people can actually, because I feel like anything that you are going to go to a grocery store and buy, other than the very bare bone essentials, is going to have some preservatives or it's going to be unhealthy in some sort of way. Like,
yeah,
what percentage of food at your local grocery store is actually something healthy?
which is
Probably a very
fair.
small
So
percentage.
that's why I say the bare minimum, right? Ban the purchasing of soda and ban the purchasing of candy with EBT and stuff. You could buy that with your own funds. You don't need taxpayer funded money to do that. And then
Sure.
everything else is kind of like a gray area, like when you're talking about apple juice and stuff like that. It's debatable. It's probably not as bad as these sugars in or not sugars, these ingredients they put in sodas and stuff like that. But yeah, I agree with Joey Canoli from Outworld Live. Ban artificial sugar. I've been drinking Pepsi. I love Pepsi. Right now, I have the Pepsi with the artificial sugars, but I love getting the Pepsis that have real cane sugar in them. You can taste the difference. It tastes way
Right.
better. Yeah, no, ban artificial sugars. Not only should we be banning people on food stamps and stuff like that from buying junk food, we need to make our junk food healthier. That
What
that's
about
that
yeah?
that's what I would advocate for.
Like what about Fruity Pebbles? Can parents buy Fruity Pebbles for their kids that have all the different dyes in them, the
I don't know.
tartry,
That would
all
fall
that
under
stuff?
candy for me. That's not cereal. That's candy.
So you're only allowed. What about Cheerios? Can they buy Cheerios?
Cheerios aren't bad. They have some ingredients that are bad, but they don't have all those dyes and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's just like where do you
I
draw
think
the line? I'd be okay with like a restructuring of the way that food stamps work, but I think to just come in and I don't know.
yeah, no,
I think it just goes back to
it's
slippery slope.
yeah, it's a tough thing to argue, but I think a lot of this would be fixed if we start off with a ban on soda and candy, and then from there we make certain ingredients banned. We start banning ingredients from certain food. Then we don't have to worry about the stuff that they're buying, right? Because candy's always going to be bad, regardless of like what ingredients you put in it. Uh, I mean, obviously some are worse than others, but overall, candy's candy. It's not going to be healthy for you. Soda probably never going to be healthy for you either. It's soda.
Sure.
So those things in the least you can buy with your own funds, and then everything else a bit of a gray area. So maybe we'll just leave that alone. But we should start banning ingredients like artificial food dyes and stuff like that, artificial sugars, high fructose corn syrup, ban that stuff.
Yep.
Uh,
So do you know about WIC? I think it's like WIIC.
I've heard of it. Why do you bring it up?
Just because it is also a food stamp style program, and but like you go in and you have like this printed out certificate or something like that, and you can get like 2 bricks of cheese a month. You can get like 3 gallons of milk a month or something like that, and that WIC style is very heavily regulated. I think like new mothers can get it when they have a child and need help or something like that.
Uh,
I'm not sure if it's in other circumstances, but I think that's where I've seen it before. Um, and so I don't know, maybe a WIC style food stamps would be the solution to preventing the abuse of, you know, buying sodas with food stamps.
that could be interesting, but yeah. Uh, yeah, but the other thing I wanted to talk about with this story, I was going to bring up that Antarctica story, but we'll talk about that after
You
this.
get there?
But let's talk about what Nick Sortor was sharing. So I found this to be kind of surprising. So Nick Sortor has this thread that he posted over the weekend. He posted this on, what was it, Saturday? Yeah, Saturday. So exposed, influenceable, the company cutting big checks to influencers on behalf of Big Soda. Over the past 48 hours, several large, supposedly MAGA aligned influencers posted almost identical talking points fed to them, convincing you Maha, Make America Healthy Again, was out of line for not wanting soda purchases with food stamps. Some even slimily invoked President Trump as an emotional manipulation tactic, referring to his Diet Coke button. Not a single one of them disclosed they were paid for these posts, which led reasons to believe a general soda ban was in the works. So then he shares pictures here. Just a moment. Well, he shares pictures here from people like Clown World, Not Jerome Powell, the parody account, Ian Miles Chong, Eric Dotery. All high-profile influencers. I personally love the Clown World account.
Mm-hmm.
Not Jerome Powell. He's got some funny tweets every now and again. But you see here, they have similar tweets that they put out. The government wants to block soda purchases for Americans on Snap. Remember when New York City tried this and it completely backfired? President Trump proudly had a Diet Coke button in the Oval Office. This is ridiculous government overreach. Let people decide for themselves. A government overreach strikes again. This time it's soda's turn. They want to restrict soda purchases through SNAP this time. This is an unwarranted attempt by the government to dictate what Americans can and cannot consume, which is an overextension of government power and a violation of personal choice. Even President Trump likes to drink his Diet Coke on a daily basis. The government needs to stop overregulating what Americans can or cannot do. Okay, difference is with Trump, guys, he's not using your tax dollars to buy the Coke. I mean, I don't know about his second term, but in his first term, he didn't even take the paycheck that comes with being president. He donated all of that. So
Right.
you can't say, well, we pay him to be president. No, we don't. We actually don't. I need to verify if he takes money for this term, but as far as I'm aware, he probably doesn't. He doesn't need it.
I don't think he does. But I feel like with my poor arguments from the previous story, now would be a good time to say that I am paid and funded by Big Soda. So
Yeah, where's my money, fool?
yeah,
What?
no, I'm
Getting
just
getting
kidding.
paid to be on my show and I'm not getting paid myself? That's crazy.
No, I figured that me not really caring too much about the soda thing and this story being here was going to paint me in a similar light as these guys, but yeah, I don't know how I feel about the coordinated campaigns by the social media influencers. Like it's one thing if one person starts talking about thing and everyone just kind of like chimes in with their own thoughts on it, but to have like campaigns be pushed out like this, I feel like it's almost propagandizing.
Yeah. I just love the name of the company that did this too. Influenceable. They found people that are influenceable and paid them to influence others. That's hilarious.
It would
Um,
almost be a an insult to be selected. You know,
Dude, no. If someone came to me and they're like, "Hey, do you have an opinion on this?" and I'd be like, "Yeah," and then they're like, "What if we paid you to say the other opinion?" I'd be like, "No, fuck off." What? That's not how my morals work. I if I believe something to be true, I am going to stick by it. If I don't think it's true, I'm not going to stick by it. And I've said openly many of times, I'm not the smartest person in the world. I never will be. But I try to find what's true in the world, and I try to share what is true. And if someone argues with me on something, if someone debates with me and says I'm wrong, great. I'm more than happy to be wrong because I want to be right. So if you can prove me wrong, awesome. I'm all for it because then I can go on telling what's actually true.
right?
And I tell people that all the time when I argue politics. I don't want to be wrong, but if I don't believe I'm wrong, I'm not gonna say I am. So it's as simple as that. But these people, I mean, Clown World, I don't even know if I should follow him anymore. Or I mean, I like the videos he shares, but I'm not gonna respect his political takes in the future. How do I know he's not bought and paid for?
Yeah.
So it just makes it hard to trust these people like these accounts. I mean, I know Ian Miles Chong always has issues. He's been in multiple controversies, but this is just another one onto the list. These influencers were given a couple of templates by Influenceable, with one of those templates specifically telling them to mention Trump's Diet Coke habit. This was done to invoke an emotional response from loyal Trump supporters. Excuse me. Making them feel as banning soda from Snap would be anti-Trump. This is an incredibly dirty tactic meant to manipulate loyal followers. Influencers were texted by Influenceable telling them to help push back against government overreach and told they'd be paid between several hundred and even $1,000+ for each post, attempting to turn MAGA folks against RFK Jr. and Maha. The way Influenceable operates is simple. They develop comfy relationships with lobbying firms, and then it lists the lobbying firm accounts there, are potentially some examples, who are funded handsomely by massive corporations such as Coca-Cola and PepsiCo. Uh, they are all, well, I can't even speak today. Oh my goodness. They also develop relationships between influencers such as the ones listed above and pay them to push these lobbying groups' talking points. They're middleman. Then they make a hell of a lot, essentially selling out our country. Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I feel. Like, what other political takes has influenceable paid them to spew? Every influencer contacted by Influenceable met the same criteria, supposedly MAGA aligned. This was all meant to manipulate their followers, which trust them for news and opinions, into siding with Big Soda. A grand total of 0 of them disclosed they were paid to push a stance on proposed regulations. Isn't that against the law in some states where, like, if you're paid to say something, aren't you supposed to say that you're paid?
I'm not quite sure on the legal aspects of it, but I would assume so.
Right.
What worries me about this is the fact that influenceable. It feels like they could have some really manipulative dark money come in and then get like funneled through them, and then they text out these influencers who are going to propagandize in ways that don't benefit the American people or don't benefit MAGA, or you know what I mean? Like if Soros funded Coca Cola and then Coca Cola went to Influenceable and then Influenceable went to they're influencers, then we're just getting pushed a far left agenda or
Yeah.
propaganda through the right leaning individuals because they've betrayed the trust and are grifting at this point, right?
Right, and in those posts they talk about how it's anti-American and again it goes against allowing people to choose for themselves and stuff like that. Which, yeah, blah blah blah. All those arguments would make sense if we weren't talking about taxpayer-funded funds, right? If I am forced to give money to you unwillingly, I'm going to at least have a say in where that money goes. That should be the rule for everything when it comes to taxes and politics, right? If my money is being forcibly stolen from me without consent, which I do not consent to that, government, fuck you. I don't consent to having my taxes taken. But if they are going to be taken and I don't have a choice, I at least get a choice in where the fuck they go. It should be as simple as that. And I have said repeatedly, let's not ban soda and candy outright. Let's just ban it from taxpayer funding money going towards it. And of course, this is great for the big soda companies when I get my EBT at the beginning of the month and I go buy 8 cases of soda with it, because I'm sure there's families that do that. I'm sure the big companies love it because it's like, oh, these people that normally wouldn't afford all this soda are able to buy it because of SNAP and EBT.
Yeah.
So of course they're going to argue against it because they'd be losing out on customers. But again, if you really want soda that bad, go buy it. Go buy it yourself. You don't need to use my money to do it. And saying that Donald Trump has a Coca-Cola button, who cares? He's the president and he uses his own money to buy it. It's as simple as that. And it's just disgusting to see that these people can be bought and paid for, and for not even that much money. I mean, $1,000, like that'd be a lot to me for sure. I'm broke as fuck right now,
But is
but
that to make you flip your morals?
yeah, but does that make me flip my morals, and does that allow me to be bought and paid for it? No taxation without representation, except now you pay them to sodomize each other in Congress, figuratively and literally. Um,
Yeah.
Damn. Well, I don't know how to comment on that one. I can't really argue that.
Hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, hit the nail on the head with that one. But yeah, I mean, do you have anything else to add to this story? We'll move on to the next one.
Not really. Maybe one thing that I'm not sure who I was talking to about this recently, but like when it comes to AI, when it comes to like multiple narratives being pushed from the same story, the whole say, 2 movies, same screen, or same screen, 2 movies, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It all comes down to who you trust. And when you see people like this getting exposed for betraying the trust, it really sucks. I mean, it sucks that they were doing it, but it also can help refine your list of trustworthy names. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the only good thing about this is that now we know that these people could be bought and paid for, and it's going to make me less likely to even consider their opinion in the future, right? So
Right.
like people at Clown World, they've been politically active for a while now, sharing all kinds of crazy videos and stuff like that, and that's the whole reason I started following them. And I do like some of their political takes, but now when I see them in the future, I'm gonna wonder, I wonder how much you got paid to say that.
Yep. It just sucks seeing the infighting, but
Yeah,
they fucked
but
up.
it could be, could be good, could be bad. There's a bit of both there, but it is what it is. So let's get into yesterday's news, as Joey's going to call it. I already know he's going to call it yesterday's
You
news.
got to get all caught up from the weekend.
I got to get all caught up from the weekend. There wasn't a whole lot of stuff. I didn't do a show on Friday or Saturday. I was busy, and there wasn't a whole lot going on. So I'm doing a bit of catch up, okay, guys? Plus, this story is crazy. Let's see if I can pull it up here. So scientists trapped in Antarctica plead for help as violence breaks out. So this is from the 17th, about exactly a week ago. So this came out last Monday, which I don't know. I meant to talk about it last week. I did mention it here and there, but I didn't actually like pull up the article or anything. So I wanted to pull it up today because it's crazy. A group of South African scientists has pleaded for help, saying they are trapped in an isolated base on a cliff edge in Antarctica with a team member who has become violent. One of the team has been accused of assault and threatening violence against his colleagues, according to the South African newspaper, the Sunday Times. South Africa's environment minister confirmed that an assault had taken place. Why it matters. The overwintering team, a group that remains in a remote and extreme environment during winter months, knew that 10 out of 15 of their months at the base would be spent in isolation, but may now be in danger from one of their own members who has been accused of being mentally unstable. Members will have undergone psychometric tests to ensure they would withstand the stress of this isolation, but the Department of Forestry, Fisheries, and the Environment, which manages the South African National Antarctic Program, now plans to retest them. What to know? So how long is this article? So this article is not too long. I'll just read it. South Africa's isolated Sine 4 Antarctic base is cut off from the world for the next 10 months because of the winter weather. So they're stuck there. You can't get anyone there because of the weather. So that no planes or anything are flying out there anytime soon. A member of the overwintering team has reportedly sent an email to the South African government accusing another team member of physical and sexual assault. His behavior, I'm assuming this is the letter. I don't know why they put it in small print. His behavior has become increasingly egregious, and I am experiencing significant difficulty in feeling secure in his presence. The email said, according to the Sunday Times, it is imperative that immediate action is taken to ensure my safety and the safety of all employees. The writer called the man's behavior deeply disturbing and said he had created an environment of fear and intimidation. I remain deeply concerned about my own safety, constantly wondering if I might become the next victim. And then let's see. Concerns had been raised about the team members' behavior before this point, the Sunday Times reports, when there was still an opportunity for the SA Augulus. Dude, I'm terrible at names. To evacuate the team member before it departed Antarctica. The only way to leave the base now is through emergency medical evacuation to a German base around 186 miles away, according to two sources with the inside knowledge, as cited by South African media. They had all the time to remedy the situation by simply buried their hands in the sand, hoping that it'll go away. They were informed about the problem as early as December. South African Environment Minister Dion George confirmed that the assault had taken place. He said they would be talking with team members to assess myself. There was a verbal altercation between the team leader and this person. Then it escalated, and the person did physically assault the leader. You can imagine what it's like in the close quarters. People do get cabin fever. It can be very disorienting. Full investigation is being commissioned, and the department will act accordingly in relation to any wrong conduct and any official that has been misconducted themselves. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'd be terrified to be stuck out in this place with some deranged lunatic. And it's like, yeah, you can't go anywhere.
Right, and I wonder how much of the chaos and tension that's going on there is just kind of cabin fever. If you are in isolation for long periods of time, like the mind can go to crazy places. And also, like, it said that they like did psychological evaluations on these people, right? But
Yeah.
but like I wonder if the psychological evaluation had more to do with like them individually, but then you throw people into a social circumstance, and maybe you might have conflict that you wouldn't have normally seen. You know, maybe the team leader is, maybe the guy who's causing the chaos is trying to out alpha the team leader or something because he thinks that there's a decision that can be made better, and so you just have that social conflict over a long enough period of time, it boils up. So
Definitely.
I don't know if groups of people should be spending large amounts of time in isolation together. I don't know.
Yeah, this is why it's incredibly important to vet and verify who is exactly in your what's called. Oh, where's this at? Oh, okay. This is why you need to vet and verify exactly who is going to be in groups like this, especially when they're going to be cut off from society for long periods. And this is Tim Pool brings up the point, like in terms of the military. This is why they're trying to ban trans people from the military. They have a higher risk of mental issues and self-harm and harming others. And it's not safe to have them in situations like this, right? It's not safe to have them in isolated situations or combat situations where they can hurt themselves or others. So it's incredibly important to have the mental fortitude and the mental stability to go into these situations. And not everyone can hack it, Not everyone can handle being in the deep Antarctic for that long with the same group of people that you may not get along with in general, you know?
And did the article, did it say something about that there was like sexual assault, or is it
Yeah, I think there were threats of sexual assault, but there hasn't been anything yet. But there was a physical altercation.
okay? Okay, yeah. Seems like
So
people just going
yeah,
crazy in isolation, just cabin
they're,
fever. That's
they're stuck up there. So hopefully everything's cool, but we'll see. Hello, Lynch Mob. I just noticed you're the only one in the YouTube chat. So hello, Lynch Mob. Uh, but yeah, okay. So moving on to the next story, we got about 15 minutes left. I do want to talk about some of this other stuff. So let's see. We'll talk about this briefly because it is in the title. Trump revokes security clearances of key Democrats. Former President Donald Trump has revoked the security clearances of several notable figures, including Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden. This move is seen by some as targeting political adversaries, affects their access to classified information, and has sparked discussions on its implications for national security and political retribution. I don't even know why this is necessarily a story. This should be just like a footnote, if anything. They did the same thing to Trump. So, like, why is this? You talk about political retribution. Well, here's your political retribution. You did it to Trump. He did it to you.
right. I don't like. Why do these people keep their security clearances when they leave office? Like, it's not like when you leave a job, you still keep your badge and can go to restricted areas. Like,
Well, that's not. I don't think that's the issue. I mean, it does make sense to keep your security clearance because you did have access to all this classified information or sensitive information, right? So you do still want to keep your clearance because you still have access to that information. I don't know how that affects obtaining additional information, but when you're in the high levels of political office like these individuals, I think what it does is restricts you from contacting people you know and getting information that way. Because if like Hillary Clinton, for example, let's say she still knows people in the Department of Defense, she can hit them up and be like, "Hey, anything I need to know?" And they're like, "Sure, you still have the clearance. Here you go," and they let her know. But
right,
taking
but
this
where,
away, it's like, okay, well now we can't communicate things to you because if we do, we get in trouble. So I think that's what it ultimately does. I don't think it. I don't think it prevents. Like, I don't think they're physically going into these places and getting information. I think it's because they have contacts that are still there from the friends they've made, and it
right,
basically prevents their friends from sharing it.
I was just using the badge as an analogy. Like, why would someone still have access to the information when it's no longer required for them to have that information as because they no longer have the job? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's always just blown my mind that people that these people just keep security clearance for forever. Like, serve once and then you just get all of the national secrets for forever. Like,
Yeah, it could definitely be an issue, especially as these people get older. They're a lot more influenceable, right? Haha, callback to influenceable. So speaking of Jill Biden, or Jill and Joe Biden, I should say, we have this article from the Gateway Pundit. Oh, yes. Joe and Jill Biden seeking return to politics as fellow Democrats continue to spiral.
give me it.
Um, do
Give me
it.
it.
Do it, please. I'm loving it, Democrats. I'm loving it.
Can we go vote in
Uh,
primaries?
yeah, I think I need to switch to Democrat for the California primaries, and I need to vote for Joe Biden. This is the only way, right? They often keep security clearances because they advise each other later. These people are the only people to have had the job. Yeah, that makes sense. So, like, when you step out of the position and someone else takes your place, you can contact them if you need help with anything.
Yeah,
So that makes sense. But anyway, back to this story.
I
So
still don't.
Gateway Pundit's talking about the Democratic Party may be in total turmoil, but luckily for them, Joe and Jill Biden want to save the day. As NBC News reported, the Bidens are looking to get back into the political game. Joe Biden has explained to multiple Democratic leaders that he's willing to do anything to put the party back on the political map, according to people close to him. This includes raising funds and campaigning. Sources told NBC that Joe Biden is so serious that he met privately last month with DNC chairman Ken Martin and personally offered his assistance. Joe Biden's potential emergence has unsurprisingly split Democrat insiders, including his own supporters. Who's going to want Joe Biden back in the game? But Jane Cleave, a vice chair at the DNC, told the network She welcomes Sleepy Joe's emergence from hiding. If you were to call any state party chair and ask them if they wanted Joe Biden to be a keynote speaker for their annual dinner, the answer would be yes. He is beloved by the party and beloved by the voters. Again, keep going, Democrats. Like, you guys just keep making amazing decisions. Like, all of this benefits Republicans. I mean, you look at David Hogg as the DNC vice chair, and it's like, yes, love it. Joe Biden possibly running for 2028. Yes, love it. Keep doing it, guys. The more you double down, the more that the regular people, are going to go to the conservative side. So just keep doing it. Keep doubling down. I love it. I'm here for it. I'm in support.
And I don't think there's a more embarrassing way to announce that the Democratic Party doesn't have an actual leader. Like, to bring him back out after he was elected to the primaries and then stripped of that nomination.
Yep.
Like,
no, it's incredibly embarrassing, and I think you know who this is most embarrassing for?
the Democratic
Kamala Harris.
Yeah. Why is that?
Because Joe Biden got kicked out of the primary nomination. He was forced out. He said he wasn't going to leave, and then like midday, one of his interns put out a resignation letter.
Yeah.
And then Kamala Harris goes to lose the presidency to Donald Trump. So now Donald Trump's beaten 2 women, which I love saying that. It just sounds hilarious. He's beaten 2 women. So now Kamala Harris, not only did she get beat by Trump, she's now getting snubbed by her own party. She was the VP, and they're like, "No, just toss her to the wayside. You can be governor of California. Go over there."
Well, how crazy would it be if Biden ran again and in the primaries he won, and then they remove him again and put in Hillary Clinton at that point?
Dude, the only people the smart thing to do for Democrats would be to run Gavin Newsom. I think Gavin Newsom would have a great chance against. Let's just assume JD Vance is going to be the nominee, because everyone's kind of leaning towards him right now. Well, we don't know what we're going to see in a couple years, but as of right now, it's likely JD Vance, just because the party likes him and people like what he's doing. So if the assumption is JD Vance is going to be the nominee for the Republicans or the front runner, who can go against JD on the Democrat side? The only person that comes to mind is Gavin Newsom, and he has a terrible record in California, but the guy can talk. He's good looking and he's a smooth talker, and that's how he wins. I mean, don't get me wrong, California is full of idiots, but that's how he keeps winning, and that's how he stayed in power. He has the charisma and he has the ability to talk his way around things.
Yeah, and I think that's like, we see JD Vance talking to the media and stuff, and we appreciate his, like, I don't know, just the way he communicates. We appreciate what comes off as like honesty in his voice, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm sure most everything that Newsom's would be saying would be lies, but he would make it sound like truth. And yeah, a good speaker is what they need to manipulate their voters.
Yeah, it's not always about whether or not you're saying something that's true. It's about how you say it. And that influences how people take it. Because you could be saying the most honest, truthful thing on the planet, but if you're talking in a monotone voice and you're like not making eye contact with the camera, or you're not making eye contact with people, they don't take it as sincere. So it's really hard for some people. And I don't know who would they run besides Gavin Newsom. You know, like AOC is not popular with people middle of the road. Gavin Newsom, I mean, lately he's positioning himself for a presidential run. You look at his podcast; he's been trying to appear more moderate.
How have his numbers been doing on that podcast?
I don't know. I haven't looked. I know it's on Spotify. It's on Spotify. I'm honestly not sure.
Yeah, I think that would be a good indicator on if there is any interest in him as a candidate.
Yeah.
The amount of views that they could pull would think would be a good indicator.
My prediction is that Gavin Newsom is going to run for president in this next election. And I honestly, if Gavin Newsom runs, that'll be a tough one. That'll be a tough race. They would have to, whoever's going against him would have to hit really hard on his record in California.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think that would be too difficult to do.
It wouldn't be difficult to do. I just don't know if it would sway people enough, because there's a lot of people on the Democrat side that like California. They like it just the way it is. So
crazy.
Yeah. So it does worry me a little bit, but got about 5 minutes left. Let's get into this last story. I was going to talk about Trump removing the visas for legal migrants, but there's not a lot to talk about there. I'd rather talk about this story here. So let's talk about this from The Guardian. Sponsors drop San Francisco Pride as festival decries rights backtracking. Comcast, Anheuser-Busch, and others cancel funding as U.S. becomes increasingly hostile towards LGBTQ plus communities. San Francisco Pride, one of the largest LGBTQ plus celebrations. I hate that acronym. What does being queer even mean? Can anyone tell me? Like, what it isn't being queer just being LGB?
Uh,
Like,
Definitionally, I don't.
I
I'm
don't even know what it means. I know that my sister and we call each other queer just because it's hilarious. Uh, but like when we see each other walking past each other in the house, we go "Sup queer." But I'm not even joking.
yeah.
But no, I don't understand the Q at the end there, and I've said it before. I'll say it again. I don't think T should be a part of that acronym either. Being trans is different than being gay or lesbian. So
Okay.
anyway, several companies, including Comcast, Diageo, and Anheuser-Busch, which had provided about $300,000 in funding, told the organization that they did not have the budget to participate this year. Suzanne Ford, the executive director of the San Francisco Pride, told The Guardian some of the companies had been part of the Pride for decades. Ford said, "We have a relationship with all those people. It's not just a number or a transaction." Excuse me. I'm drinking too much soda. I keep burping. Ford believes the sudden departure of long-term sponsors is the result of a political environment driven by the Trump administration that has become increasingly hostile to the LGBTQ plus community. It could also be that Anheuser-Busch is still reeling from the backlash they received from that Dylan Mulvaney ads and stuff.
Right.
Could be that. But what are your thoughts here? Why do you think they're pulling out? People are just not interested in the LGBTQ plus stuff anymore, or what do you think?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if they are actually struggling like financially, so they really just don't have like the marketing budget to sponsor them. Like, and if the uh, Pride Festival is kind of the low hanging fruit for them, and they're having to, you know, cut out, if they're having to cut out finances, then this is something that doesn't profit them, so they cut it out. I don't know. I'm wondering what rights backtracking means.
Yeah,
In the
let me
title.
go through the article. See if we could. The backtracking on rights in the LGBT community certainly have to be part of any corporation's calculus on whether they give us money. So I can't pinpoint the exact reason, but as we all know now, it's more difficult than ever to stand up and say you support rights of LGBTQ people. Um, it's harder than more difficult than ever. What? Again, what rights do gay and trans people have that anyone else doesn't or does or like
Yeah,
I
what
don't
rights
I've
do they have that they're fighting for? It's the right to exist. Come on, they're fighting for their right to exist.
Matt Stork says queer means gender non-conforming, meaning they are special kinds of special snowflakes. Um,
Sounds about
okay,
right.
so it's not a real thing. That's great. Because fact of the reality is gender non-conforming doesn't exist. If you are a male or a female, um, whatever you're wearing is confirming to society. If you didn't want to conform to society, you'd walk around naked in the woods. So
I do that as often as I can. So
I mean that's fair. I would like to do the same, right? Uh, that would be not conforming to society. But if you're wearing clothes, yeah, you're conforming to society. So I don't know what you mean by gender non-conforming. It just sound like a bunch of load of bullcrap. But yeah, this article seems like a bunch of bullcrap too. San Francisco Pride recently announced it would end a longtime partnership with Meta after the company terminated its DEI programs shortly before Trump took office. Right now, I see a lot of negative attention on the LGBTQ community, and maybe people are making the decision from a marketing point of view. I think that is a very short-term view, and I think it's dangerous for companies to take that view. Okay, so it doesn't even talk about what rights are backtracking, and it could be that people aren't as in support as as they used to be, probably because of all the videos of naked grown men at these festivals and parades.
yeah,
It's supposed to be a family-friendly event, but it is far from family-friendly. It could be that you're pushing non-reversible medical treatments on children. It could be a lot of things. It could be a lot of things pushing people away from the movement. I have no problem with people being with who they want to be with. That's not my issue and never has been. I worry more about the labeling of things and the medical treatments that are affecting children.
Yeah.
That's where I stand on that.
Yeah, it just seems like they're reading the room. These companies are reading the room, and they see that, you know, the movement or whatever is not a
It's not
popular throughout
yeah,
the
it doesn't
country.
benefit them.
Yeah, so you just don't associate with the things that's going to bring you negative press.
Yeah, when a couple years ago, when if you didn't stand behind these festivals and Pride Month and everything else, you'd get a ton of backlash from a bunch of crazies. But I think these companies are realizing, hey, these crazies aren't buying our product anyway,
Yep.
so let's just not bow down to them anymore. And it is what it is. But we do need to send everyone over to the Joey Cannoli show, or I think he might start in 5 minutes. So I guess we have a little bit more we can talk about. I always forget he starts at 35. He doesn't start at 30.
Gives you a couple minutes.
Gives me an extra 5 minutes. Yeah, extra 5 minutes to wind things down.
Maybe he's just everything.
Yeah, but as far as I'm concerned, good. I think this is a great article. Rights are not being taken away from these people. Nothing's being backtracked. I don't know. Like,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say the only thing I can think that would be affecting these people right now is maybe that bill in Texas that we talked about last week. But I'm in support of that bill. I don't think people should be able to identify as a sex that they're not. So, and if you want to know what I'm talking about, I made a video and talked about it on a live stream last week. So go check that out. It is my most recent video, so you can check that one out. But essentially what it was Texas is trying to make gender identity theft an actual felony, and makes it to where people cannot identify as the opposite sex to any government entity or an employer, which I'm in full support of. If someone wants to show up to work in a dress and high heels and their boss is cool with it, cool. Doesn't make them a female. That does not make them a female. So that's where I stand on that.
Yep. No, you're fighting the trans fight far more heavily than I am. Like
I'm heavily against that stuff. I've deleted a lot of my ex posts just out of fear of employers finding me in the future.
Sure.
But I used to argue constantly with people about the trans stuff on X, and I feel very strongly about it. People can do whatever they want, but they can't deny reality. Right. That's how I feel about it. But again, I'm more of a libertarian on things when it comes to what people want to do. If they're not harming other people, cool, all for it. What does harm people, however, is when a man identifies as a female and invades female spaces that are supposed to be female only. That's harming people. But if a guy wants to walk around with long hair, a dress, heels, makeup, I think it's weird. I ultimately don't care. If they're still using the male restroom, cool. Doesn't affect me. But when you're going around like that and you're like, I'm a female, address me as such, and I get to go into the female locker room and female bathroom, yeah, I got a problem with that. I'm not okay with it.
Yeah. Doesn't Jordan Peterson call it compelled speech when people are like demanding that you use their pronouns and whatnot?
Definitely a form of compelled speech, yeah. If you're forcing me to call you something that I don't believe you to be, I have every right to call you whatever the fuck I want to call you. So, and just like you have every right to call me whatever the fuck you want to. So, if I refuse to call you a woman, you can refuse to call me Tyler.
I think that the trans community should probably their new attack vector should be misgendering everyone. Just like
they tried that. It just doesn't work.
Did they?
Yeah, people have tried that. It just doesn't work. Yeah, people just don't care.
Perfect. That's the exact point I was hoping that it would make.
Yeah. So, no, I've seen it. It's been tried throughout the years. Trans activists are like, oh, well, I'll just call you a female. And it's like, oh, you look very feminine. You look trans. And it's like, great, cool. Don't care because I know what's between my legs. That's the thing, right? Is like they try to use that because it's projection, right? They know it hurts them when you don't acknowledge them. So they're like, you know what? I'm not going to acknowledge what you actually are. And it's like, okay, cool. That's not a thing that I'm sensitive about. You clearly are, and that's why you're trying to identify as something you're not. So it just doesn't work.
Yep.
But anyway, closing statements before we send everyone over to the Outworld Live.
Oh, I never have no closing statements. Thank you guys for kicking it with us, and see y'all soon.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna drop him down. As always, thank you guys for tuning in on this fine Monday. If I missed any news stories, you can hit me up on Discord, hit me up on X. I do have my, let's see, right here, bam, at Tyler Rittenhour on X in the bottom right. So you can hit me up on X, hit me up in the comments, wherever you can contact me. If I missed a news story you wanted me to talk about, send it over my way. I'll bring it up tomorrow. Maybe I'll make a video about it. But thank you guys for tuning in, and I'm going to go ahead and play the outro. Peace out. As always, thank you guys so much for tuning into the video today. I greatly appreciate it. If you want to support me and support what I do, make sure you hit that like button, thumbs up, whatever you're watching from. If you are watching me from YouTube, go over to Rumble. If you're watching me from Rumble, go over to YouTube. Up to you. Always appreciate the extra follow. You could also follow me on X at Tyler Today News or at Tyler Rittenhour, which is my full name. Tyler Today News, YouTube, Tyler Today News, Rumble. Or if you want to go ahead and watch me over on Twitch for when I stream. I also stream at 1:30 Pacific Standard Time, but I do stream from all three platforms. I just stream on Twitch as well, just to, have my name out there on Twitch as well. But as always, thank you guys for tuning in. Peace out.